On today's episode, we are going to be discussing the oft-rumored Star Wars Rebel sequel that may or may not happen. We're going to react to the LEGO Star Wars Christmas special trailer that just released. Darth Choco has a very special topic he wants to discuss as well. We'll hit that up when we get there. And then, of course, we're going to talk about Leslye Headland's new female-fronted Star Wars series on Disney+. And then, of course, The Mandalorian. This is Dyad in the Force. What's up, guys? I'm your host, Element7.
And I'm Darth Choco, or Choco if you're nasty. Hello, your co-host.
Who is this? What do we have here?
Hi, everyone. Hi, it's me, Ms.Eggy. Thank you so much for having me on this week. I'm so excited. I love this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. As everyone knows, this is supposed to be Dyad in the Force, but sometimes we'll have a triad. And in this case, Eggy's part of the triad. I'm not sure if I have all of your socials. Is it just TikTok?
Yeah, just TikTok, honestly. Everything else is my Twitter is Ms.Eggy28, and I do go on Twitter a lot, but it's different content. It's mostly that's where my political self lives.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's where you can get political without all the comments saying, "Why did you have to make it political?
Why'd you have to make it political? Why is It's not like Star Wars is political inherently."
It's about war.
I know, right? It's
even
nothing.
The stars are political. You need funding to get there. I guess I'll put your Twitter handle in the description below. Guys, follow Miss Eggy on TikTok. She's funny. She has an awesome drunk rant series that I absolutely adore. Check her out, Miss.Eggy at TikTok.
She also has an amazing mug right now.
Oh my gosh! That
there's
actually,
my Ray, and there's
actually
Kylo.
reminds me of the Lego Star Wars we just saw, the teaser trailer.
I'm so happy you guys. You brought it up because I was going to email. Oh, wait, I did email you about it, didn't I? I did. Okay, I couldn't remember if I did. I was like, can we talk about the Lego Star Wars? I never thought I'd be interested, but I saw it and I watched it and I was like, oh, this is going to be my life now. I'm so excited.
I wasn't interested either. And then you emailed me and I was like, can we talk about it? So I watched it and I'm excited to talk about it as well. But our first topic of this podcast or this episode is the Star Wars Rebels sequel. Now, nothing has been confirmed. There are a lot of Disney Plus shows that are just in the rumor mill right now. We have Ahsoka, the Obi-Wan is still in production, but Ahsoka, we have the Star Wars sequel, and then we have a show by Taika Waititi. But let's just jump into this discussion on Star Wars Rebels, the sequel. How do you feel about the sequel?
So, as you know, I'm a massive Rebels fan.
It's my favorite show too.
Which, I mean, totally fine if it's not your cup of tea or whatever, but the depth of the lore that it dives into, I think it adds so much to this universe, and that is what I want to continue. If I am thinking about my own speculation, is I need to see because I'm a big fan of Sabine and Ahsoka, so I need to find them on a mission to find Ezra, and I need them to find Ezra, but they'll probably end up outside of the Star Wars galaxy that we know.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to touch on that with our Mandalorian talk, but you don't think that's going to be covered in like the Ahsoka spinoff, or you think that's going to be another timeline? Not timeline, time period.
Well, I mean, first of all, if Thrawn is still with him, and Thrawn's knowledge of the expansionary region and all that, the stuff that's way on the outside.
Sorry, guys. There we go. Sorry about that.
Technical difficulties.
No worries. But like, if they end up somewhere, through the chaos and kind of towards the like just ascendancy, where over there they do have force sensitives, but they've always been used more as navigators than anything else. And then you give Thrawn someone that can use the force, have them adventure and kind of start their own thing out there where they're not connected to the rest of us. That way you don't encroach on Star Wars as we know it and create continuity errors, but you still give us a whole new flavor for a show, and I don't know, might be interesting.
I think that it depends on how whatever Ahsoka content or Rebels related content that we're going to get in The Mandalorian this season, I think the reaction to it will be very telling. Like if people are like, oh, Rebel stuff, like then I think it might encourage the green light. For me personally, I respect Rebels a lot. I totally understand why people love it. It just wasn't for me. It just wasn't my cup of tea. But there was stuff in it that I really liked, and there was characters in it that I really liked. I loved Kanan. I loved Hera. I just like, I don't know. I think it's just because I'm getting older that now I'm like empathizing with the parents now.
Yes.
And I'm like, shut up, Ezra. Like, stop it. Like, just do what you're told, like it's just, that's just kind of where I am, I guess, emotionally. But one thing I do find very interesting is the thing that I always was so, like the detail in Rebels that always caught my attention was the introduction of the world between worlds. Yeah. And as soon as I heard that there was going to be we have this like celestial plane where like all time and space related to the Force sort of exists, I immediately I should ask. I'm going to ask the Peter Parker question. Are we using our real names or our pretend names? Are we doing? Should we just do Coco and Element?
Or just use whatever you want.
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay, let's just do that. Yeah, because I think that's what you guys used on the first episode. But like I know Coco is a comic book reader. Element, are you big like DC or Marvel or?
Not as big as Coco, but
okay.
I am a comic book reader and a book reader, so yeah.
Okay, so you guys know, and I like comic books a lot, but as soon as I heard that the world between worlds existed, I was like, in 10 years, maybe like 5, but maybe between 5 and 10 years, one day Disney is going to say we've got a multiverse. I swear to God, there's going to be a multiverse brought into the Star Wars universe. Because I think that, and I like that idea personally. I like the idea of them moving into a space where the Skywalkers like never existed, so they don't have to worry about like, because everything is like always in the shadow of the Skywalkers, no matter how far we go forward. I guess with the High Republic going backwards is going to be helpful, but I do think eventually we're going to get a multiverse, and I think that's fine. It's kind of like when there was those pretend rumors that like, oh, they're going to make the sequels not canon. And I was just like, well, in 10 years, you'll probably get like a quarter of your wish here. But like, it's like everything's still canon. It's just like, oh, we have different universes. That's what I think is going to happen. And I would think that if they're going to do a Rebels sequel, I think I would like to see more exploration of like the cosmic kind of like narrative around this celestial plane. I feel like Ezra will have seen some shit, and be more worldly. There's a lot of like directions it could go, and I think it would probably be something, especially since Sabine and Ezra, like all of the children are going to be adults now. I think that will be a good pull-in for me too. So I'm excited. I think that'd be really cool. Adults.
Weren't all of those rumors about the decanonization of the sequels kind of hinging on this multiverse idea?
I think so.
All the rumors were coming from someone named Doomcock. So
yeah. It should tell you enough.
See. Yeah, that tells you enough. It's like, yeah, I think eventually the multiverse will come, but it's going to be like, oh, everything that happened in this timeline is going to be separate. Like, it's not going to be like, they're not going to cherry pick whatever trilogy. They're like, well, like, that's just nonsense. Like, no. It'll be, in fact, I have so many ideas. I'm like, oh my God, they could do so much stuff. Like like they could do like a flip where like there's like Jedi like figures that are the evil ones, and then sort of like that'd be cool. Like, and then you kind of have like the good guys are different or whatever. That would be kind of fun. There's so much you can play with. So I would be interested in developing that World Between Worlds concept, and Ezra just kind of coming out with. I have this image of Ezra coming out of like, if that's where he went. Like, we don't know where he is, but that's probably where he is. Like, I have this image of him coming out looking like Rogue with like a streak in his hair. Like, I've seen so much.
I know George Lucas, his original outlines kind of involved the microbiotic world of the midichlorians. Mm-hmm. It could very well tie into that. But I don't know, isn't there going to be some sort of like multiverse fatigue with, like, we have WandaVision and the multiverse of madness, and then of course we have the Infinite Earths on DC's side. And
DC's leaning a lot more into it now.
Yeah, they are.
So are we just going to see a whole bunch of just franchises centered around multiverses?
That's
like, I would love to see this is why the High Republic is so great. I would love to see a story away from the Skywalkers, as far away as possible.
Yes.
But like multiverse, how do we tell a story on that?
I mean, when the concept of any type of fatigue happens, I think of cop shows. When are people going to be tired of cop shows? It hasn't happened yet. There's all different types. Some are comedy, some are realistic, some are gritty or whatever. It never stops, and people don't seem to get tired of it. I think
when people say they're getting comic book movie fatigue, they just really wanted Infinity War and Endgame to come, and then as soon as that happened, they're like, "Oh, things are real now. Like, we got to get more movies out."
I'm happy personally. I don't. This isn't going to happen tomorrow. I think maybe like in a decade they might be like, oh, okay, like here's some new ideas, maybe. Like, but yeah, no, it's not going to happen tomorrow or next year or the year after. But I mean, but maybe, who knows, if they can keep on pushing the timeline that they have now, and either push it so far in the future that like the Skywalkers are just a vague myth, or push it so far in the past like they're doing with the High Republic, it can work too. I just think, like, I mean, it's all about the money. Like, it is all about the money, but it's
always about the money.
It's always about the money. But I think that we could get some cool narrative shifts and some cool new characters. And I'm kind of like, with Star Wars, I'm pretty much open to anything. I'm like, okay, as long as it's new, I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, like I'm down. So
that's a huge shift from Rebels, though. So Choco. Oh,
sorry, yeah.
Was that your idea of the Rebels sequel?
I would
multiverse?
Just like exploring the world between worlds and the sort of the celestial kind of like plane that it is and how it works, maybe. Ezra becoming like a full form, like just Bamf, just being super cool. And I also just want more Hera. Just more Hera.
Yeah. Especially with Jason at the end. Spoiler alert for if you haven't seen Rebels yet. Jason Solo exists. Or not Jason Solo. I'm getting my names mixed up.
Syndulla.
Jason Syndulla. Maybe the sequel follows him, and then it's like kind of like a mix of Ahsoka, Sabine searching for Ezra, and then Jason's up and coming. He's force sensitive, obviously, because of Kanan. But definitely, the one thing that made Rebels my favorite was the amount of deep lore and the amount of context surrounding Vader and Ahsoka. How did Ahsoka survive that? We had that world between worlds that introduced this new plane of existence that we only knew from like annotated scripts of the originals, that it was the Nether. Palpatine's trying to gain access to it, and so like just that one episode had so much implications for the deep lore of Star Wars. And I think definitely I agree with Eggy on this front, that the world, like expanding on the world between worlds and kind of giving us more of a more than an abstract concept like it is now, and kind of give us some adventures in it. What adventures could they possibly go on in the world between worlds? We could probably have Yor Choco's show with, exploring Luke's memories or something.
And another thought, right? Because they jumped off with the Purgle, big space whales with tentacles. The big question is where did they go? Because another place I would love to see it go to is the Force planet that we saw Yoda go to in season 6 of the Clone Wars. If that's where they end up, and they're having to figure out the secrets of the Force, and so you have Ezra, someone that can access it and has really good abilities to communicate with other creatures that are through the Force, and then you have Thrawn, who can break down and figure out the secrets of that because of observing it. That'd also be really dope.
I have all aboard the Thrawn train. I'm new to the Thrawn. I've been reading the Thrawn book, and I'm just like, I always thought just Thrawn was always, I always liked him fine, but I was like, well, he just blew Tarkin. Like, okay, he's really good at playing Battleship. Okay. And then I saw him in Rebels, and I was like, oh, all right, this guy's got a whole energy to him. And then I started reading the Thrawn book, and I was like, oh, I love this character. He's so good. Timothy Zahn,
I actually
man.
just started reading that too. Yeah, just a newfound appreciation for Thrawn, because
Space Sherlock.
All I knew from him was from Rebels, and so I've always wanted to read that book, but definitely, he is probably, if a show ever centered around him being the big bad, that would be an amazing show.
Oh my God, it's like the thing that I love so much about this book too is that it does the same thing. It does kind of the Lost Stars thing, but it takes it to the next level where if you take the Empire, the concept of this existing in Star Wars out, this is just a story about two underdogs rising the ranks, and they're just in their military, and it's a really great story. And it's the context of the Empire being evil is not at all, has not existed aside from when he talks to Palpatine in that Game of Thrones garden where they're yes, the plotting garden where they just keep on saying vague statements. It's okay. It's outside of that context, it really doesn't. It's just a story about these two guys, and it's just so cool, and I love that. I always love when they do that type of stuff.
The dynamic between him and between Palpatine and Thrawn, it's almost it's like a revelation almost. It almost seems from the little that I've read thus far, it almost seems like the Empire is not used to talking to smart people. And even Palpatine, right? He's just talking to him about what he can offer to the Empire, and then Thrawn's just saying all this, very, very rational things. And Palpatine's never thought about that. It's just funny.
You saying that just makes me think of when one of the newer DC comics in Doomsday Clock, when Ozymandias from the Watchmen world goes and talks to Lex Luthor and tells him what he does, and then Lex was like, "You're the smartest person on your planet." I'd hate to meet the dumbest, and just lights him up. I don't know, it's just that type of meeting of the minds. And it's also, it also makes you wonder, because Thrawn is just a dude who's matching wits with the Emperor himself. If Thrawn was Force sensitive, it'd be game over.
Oh, yeah. Oh, can you imagine? Oh my God, this guy! I remember he gets attacked by the frat. They're at what I called it college in my video. They literally are just at college, and they're just walking home, and he gets rushed. And it's and in retrospect, I guess he said he was "Oh no, I know how to fight." I'm yeah, you were getting your ass kicked, but okay, buddy, But he's he's flesh and bone. He's just a guy. Yeah, he's just he's just a really smart dude, and I'm just it's so good. I would love to see him be the big bad in a Rebel sequel, or have him, you know, I also love, one of my favorite dynamics is like reluctant team ups. So if Thrawn and the rebels find themselves like, you know, stuck in a situation where they have to work together, I'm like, that is catnip for me. I'm like, oh yes. So I would love that too. Like him involved in any capacity for a Rebel sequel would be great.
I mean, that's a potential for another story, right? It's just Thrawn and Ezra. It's kind of like a buddy cop show where what's happened to them? Are they stuck on an island? The 3-hour tour? What's going like just a whole season of them just, you know, foraging, hunting and gathering, and Thrawn teaching Ezra his martial arts.
Poor Thrawn.
And if he was force sensitive, it would be the Azure Menace versus the Phantom Menace. I'm gonna call him that.
Yeah, Azure Menace. I like that. Yeah, we definitely need more Thrawn, more Hera, and specifically more Ahsoka, which hopefully we will be getting very soon. So.
Yes. Any final thoughts on the Star Wars? What would it be called? Star Wars Rebel sequel? Like for me,
not Rebels. The war's over now.
Yeah.
So I mean, of course, building off of how the naming convention they're using in the Disney Plus series, Bad Batch, I'm gonna just call it Ghost Crew.
There you go. Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on this sequel?
I mean, Ghost Crew to me sounds like it is gonna be like a Japanese dance team kind of. But
is there a dance team with the name Ghost Crew?
I don't know. That's just what I'm picturing of like they break dance and they're really good.
They're gonna bring back the UFOs.
Like an anime version of Ghostbusters. Sounds like a remember they did that Powerpuff Girls anime back 500 years ago? Oh,
and if they do the Ahsoka spinoff, it would be called Fulcrum.
That'd be cool.
Or just Ahsoka Tano. It'll do good if it's just called Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah. I'm no Jedi.
So, okay. Moving on to our next topic of this podcast is the Lego Star Wars Christmas special teaser. This is something that Eggy wanted to talk about.
I did. Oh my God. It looks so good.
It does. I was not into it until I watched the trailer, and I was having a blast.
Mm-hmm. It just looks like I guess it's because of this year too. I watched this trailer and it just filled me with so much just fun serotonin. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm not involved. I don't know anything really about the Lego Star Wars franchise. I've never played any of the games. So maybe that's why it kind of took me by surprise, because I guess they all kind of have that tone. Mm-hmm. But like Rey just like, my master's master, my master's father, my master's father's master. Like it's just this like, and Palpatine. I did see a clip where Palpatine has the he's gonna attack Luke with the lightning, but it's just the plastic lightning, and he just throws them at him, and he's like throwing like plastic lightning. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this looks really cute. It looks fun and happy and just like a really good time. And I feel like that's what we all need, you know.
It looks like what I would imagine this community of positive Star Wars fans to be, just like a whole bunch of the Star Wars characters having fun and not taking themselves too seriously. We've got Rey sitting on Luke's lap when he's doing the trench run. And like, you know, the other people on the other side are just going to be Rey's not a Skywalker. Rey's not a Skywalker. And then we're just having fun. We're having a party. It's a lot of fun. And I think what I saw with a lot of the things that they showed in the trailer, again, I think Choco's show is going to come true, at least to some degree in this special. Because we're seeing Rey travel through like all the times that Luke's been in, and I mentioned, you know, during the trench run, and I'll let Choco tell you if you haven't already heard from his podcasts previously what his show would be involving Luke.
Yeah, it's my dream show because I'm a big Luke fan. We never got to see Prime Luke, so my dream pitch is it's Rey trying to set up her new Jedi school, and she's learning more about the Force and things, and she's using the books that she had taken from the temple from Luke, and as she's looking through them, Luke has a bunch of notes and handwritten stuff scribed in them, and I want it to flash back to Luke learning this lesson or going to this force sensitive place and finding it. So we're watching an anthology series about Luke in his prime.
I love that. But
through Rey's eyes, and she uses what he finds to build a better Jedi. That's what I want.
I love that. And every episode can be like a note, maybe like a scribble. Like she sees like one scribble, and then it's like the whole episode is him learning that. That's so good. Yeah. My best friend and I always talk about how much we want Prime Luke, like more like Luke centered. As much as it's like I'm a Star Wars fan of contradictions. Like I'm like, I want to move beyond the Skywalkers, but also can we get like a Luke show where it's just like all about Luke? Like, but I want that so bad because we have this giant chunk missing, and like they're going to do something. Like they can't just leave that like just like with no context. Like it's like, no, we gotta learn. We see flashes, like we see a little bit, but we don't have anything focused on him. And I think that's a great idea. I'd love to see something like that.
I think we're all in agreement. You know, it's all about the money, and that's a cash cow right there. You cannot do that timeline. You just can't.
That would just be printing money, which I mean, I think that's exactly what this Lego Star Wars is. There's certain people I know, Justin, for one, he's been on the podcast before, but he's got into Star Wars from playing Lego Star Wars. Yeah. That was his start. I
remember him saying that.
And it's not uncommon. And I mean, when I was little, Legos, like you had to have your own imagination. There's no, but seeing this is really cool. I love how it's like you said, it's not taking itself too seriously, but more than anything else, I'm looking forward to how, as we move forward, I think this is going to be exactly what brings all sides of the community together. I think by going through the timeline, they'll be able to, I hear, because the complaints I hear often are quite unfounded or very specifically stated and just ignored. But I think traveling through time, you can hit people over the head with the parallels, and like, you see, do you understand? But do it in a way that's entertaining. And I think between this and the Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga that's coming out, which I'll be getting, it'll be my very first Lego game ever. People love them, but I think this is what we need. Also, like you said, it's also what we need this year, because it's been hard, man.
Yeah, it's been a rough year, and I just need. And I want to correct myself. When he throws the lightning, that's from the trailer for the game, not for the special. I'm sorry about that, but it's and I love like I said this. I posted a video today, yesterday I think, where I was talking about like just like Batman stuff, like for No Nuance November. And I was like, oh yeah. And I agree. I believe that the Lego Batman movie is the best Batman movie in all of Batman movies. It's the best one. It's such a love letter. So I love the Lego franchise. Like there's so much good stuff there. So I mean, why wouldn't I like this? So yeah, it just looks cute.
Admittedly, I've only watched them with my nephews, so the only thing I remember from those movies is everything is awesome. I don't know. I want to get into them for sure after seeing this Christmas special. It's so fascinating to see in this trailer all of the times kind of meld with each other, especially with Rey, Finn, and Poe meeting Han, Leia, and Luke, and hopefully, I don't know. I don't remember too much of the trailers. I watched it yesterday, but was there any kind of anyone from the prequels? Was Mace in there?
I did see Anakin and young Obi-Wan. Okay. I want like Anakin to like see Darth Vader and be like, I want there to be just like a cute interaction with them, or at the end when he's like, my son. I mean, these binary sons. Like I'm like, this energy is just it's just so silly, and it's just because you're right. It does, because usually I'm super against time travel. Time travel never works.
But you like X-Men.
Well, yeah, no, I like X-Men, yeah, but it's so are we talking like Days of Future Past?
Well, just time travel is on again, off again.
Sure,
it plays a large part.
It's and I liked Endgame because Endgame utilized time travel correctly, where it was just like, we're going to go to all the movies, and I was like, okay, like that's fun, like okay, that's a good narrative. But I feel like usually, I just think that if you're going to do time travel, it has to be tongue in cheek, or else it's just gonna, it's just not going to work. So I think that that them doing it in this Christmas special and just being like, we're going to all the movies, it's so fun, like that's just really fun. It's a right space for it. Yeah, I think like universe, I think like Spider-Verse, like universes crashing into each other, like I think that works better than time travel. I think it's But, yeah.
I just want a scene where Rey is flying the Falcon with Luke, and Luke's like, how do you know how to fly? And she says, and Rey just says, I grew up flying terrestrial ships for Uncaw. And then he said, oh, same.
Or she just starts like listing off like all of her like, well, like, you know, if you watched my movie, you'd see all these scenes where it's telegraphed that I know how to fly. And then, of course, as soon as Luke Skywalker goes, oh, I guess you do know how to fly, then all the fanboys would be like, well, all right, Luke said it was fine. I'm like, okay, is it fine? Okay, thank you. Thanks, Dylan.
You think that would be too subtle if she just says, I grew up flying, and then he says, same. I guess it makes sense. We're all pilots.
Subtle as a brick.
Everyone's
Anakin
pilot.
will come in at the end and he'll just say, I'm a pilot. I've been flying my whole life for 2 years.
For 2 years.
For the 2 years I could
life.
Speak. I always thought that scene was funny when he said my whole life at 9 years old. Like how many years have you been able to walk?
My favorite detail is that he's drawing. He's like wiping something. Like he looks like a grizzled bartender, like wiping a glass. And he's like, my whole life. And I'm just like, what
troubles you to date?
It's like he's just like sitting there like, you noob. Like, I've been flying my whole It's, you know what I want more than anything? I want a Star Wars protagonist who can't fly for shit. Everyone's always a pilot. And I'm like, I want a Star Wars protagonist that has to consistently hire people to take them from place to place. It's like, I can't fly this. Like, please help. I think that'd be really funny.
That makes me think of Choco.
Motion sickness.
Choco was telling me.
Vomiting.
Choco was telling me about a story. I don't know if you want me to talk about it. I won't go into detail, but like just about the person who's just the transportation for everyone, and then he's like, oh yeah. It made me think of that. That's pretty funny.
Okay, well, so now comes time to settle up, and I'm confused on a couple of different things. So if you listened to us last week, you know that we made a bet. So first it was started out by talking about Sasha Banks, who I said was not going to be Sabine Wren. She was going to be in the episode, and we were going to find out who she was. Now, if you had closed captioning, that's all true. She did get named.
Are you gonna pull this out?
She wasn't. No, I'll let Eggy be the judge, because
God.
Oh, well,
putting this on me. I remember, that was your side. Your side was we were going to find out who Sasha Banks was, and we were going to get like context on her. But Element,
and that she was not going to be Sabine.
And she was not going to be Sabine. And Element, your part of the bet was what again?
We were going to meet Bo-Katan.
Yes.
Well, then everybody wins.
So that's the thing. That's my question. Is this now a wash? Because
the easy way out would be to call it a wash, but I think we're missing one important detail here, is that we didn't really get to meet Casca. You're pulling out the closed captions here. Her name was never mentioned.
Her name.
I know, but her name was never mentioned. They didn't go into detail, and she wasn't. I think. See, for me, when you said we were gonna meet her, she's gonna be very important to the storyline. We're gonna meet her, and her name is going to be told to us. And I think part of what you said last week as well is that we're not going to meet Bo-Katan.
I don't recall, but I will happily pay.
I mean, if Eggy's, if you're, I'll accept whatever verdict Eggy throws out.
All right, if that's the case, then I think that Coco owes you like $5. I think like it'll be like a less amount. I think because it is true. Like Element's prediction was like 100% right. They did meet Bo-Katan. And Sasha Banks, actually, side note, I'm really happy that it turns out that, like, I remember seeing the trailer for The Mandalorian, and there's like a shot of her, because that's what everyone was like all buzzing about. And I was like, oh, please let her not be important. Like, please let her not be important. Like, I was like, not because I don't want her to be important, but because it's like, you know, I'm like, I'm very, and we'll get to this when we start talking about the episode. Like, I'm not anti-nostalgia by any means, but I am like, we talked about this too, Coco. Like, I was always like, I really didn't want this season of The Mandalorian to turn into, and look who's here now, and look who's here now, and look who's here. Ooh, who's in this episode? Who's in this episode? Like, I didn't really want that. So I'm happy that
the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yes, literally like some Scooby-Doo thing, like, oh, Batman and Robin, oh, the Harlem Globetrotters. It's just like, oh, no, like, just no. Like, and I loved seeing Bo-Katan, like, so we'll get to that. But I am happy that Sasha Banks was just kind of like a cool Mandalorian night owl girl. Like, I liked that. I thought that was really cool. So I do think that Element comes out a couple points ahead. So write him a check for $5.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Send a check.
All right.
It's definitely one of their misdirects for sure. You know, I was thinking, you know, you saw my reaction to the trailer, and I was like, that's Sabine. And then everyone was all over, who is Sasha Banks? And then, she's just one of Bo-Katan's underlings. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're still going to see her again in the next 2 episodes, but...
You think so?
You think?
We'll talk about it when we get to the episode talk.
Another 20 on it. Let's go.
Coco,
we'll
you have a
revisit
problem.
that later. But you also had another topic you wanted to talk about as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this week we did get kind of a leak, right? It was a page from a book that has not been released yet. The book is being released next month. And it was notes in between 1999 and 2005 from George Lucas. And it talks about sequels to the original trilogy. And Maul was going to be the big bad. He was kind of became king of the underworld, and he was training Darth Talon. There was thoughts that it would make Leia be the chosen one. And there's a bunch of thoughts like that. And a lot of people started throwing this around immediately. Everyone started covering it. Again, I think it's problematic that everyone wants to be first and doesn't care about being accurate. But that's a whole side topic. One of the narratives I wanted to kind of talk about is now that gives people the saying that it was going to be a replacement for the R sequels trilogy, which is basically passing the torch to the next generation, almost as if it was going to say something about the original trilogy characters. And that's not true. I mean, yes, this was a story, but this is not the treatment that he sent to Disney in 2012 for it. It actually perfectly aligns with it, though. And that's what I found to be really interesting. So the stuff I found on Lucas's treatment from 2012, and there's script writers and things who have talked about it, and the concept art has been freely released. It was similar, right? Luke had already made his Jedi school, but it was one of his students called Jedi Killer was their name for him, had basically killed everyone in it, and Luke had gone into hiding and been pretty similar. But one of the key differences was that the person that had turned the student just so happened to be a red-skinned Twi'lek woman that was Sith. And you're like, okay, so now this still all connects, because that, if he made this other trilogy before, because we also know that he toyed between it being 9 and 12 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So if we had something in between, we would see the defeat of Maul. Darth Talon would likely survive, and this could be the revenge. If I still want to see it, I want to see the in between, like we were talking about, seeing Luke in his prime and seeing him build up this Jedi school that gets torn down, so we have more context on it. But the assertion that it's a replacement is incorrect. That's
for sure, because we know that the original outlines kind of coincide, at least to some degree, with how the sequels have already played out. And this leak from the book, I mean, I'm assuming this is just George Lucas kind of, shooting the shit with Filoni. Perhaps this is just a discussion. Maybe Darth Maul could be the villain, and he trains Darth Talon. There was definitely a huge kind of missed opportunity in terms of telling the story of the Shadow Collective and where Kira goes after Solo. But I think this is a tough one, honestly, because his arc going all the way to twin sons, I just thought was beautiful.
That's what I was gonna say.
And I don't think he would. I don't know. It's like one of those. It's interesting to see, but what we've got is kind of brilliant right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when I saw, so there's stuff in there that I think is cool. I like the idea of making Leia the chosen one. I think that's really cool. I like that the Rise of Skywalker made her the master, made her the ultimate teacher. We have, when we couldn't quite get exact more of that, which of course we couldn't. Carrie had passed away. So, but I liked that. But Maul being the big bad, I was like, Maul's story, to me at least, is tied to Obi-Wan. And without Obi-Wan Kenobi, it just doesn't connect for me. It's like Maul's his rage and his anger and his vengeance. It's without Obi-Wan, it's just kind of non-existent, I guess, in sort of the context of his character. I mean, we do know that Maul has been angry for a very long time. His rage existed far before Obi-Wan killed him, or whatever. And, but I think what we got was just really good. And Talon's cool. I don't know that much about her, admittedly. But she's pretty cool. I mean, she doesn't, if to my knowledge, does not exist in the Disney canon yet. So they can bring her in. They can make her the big bad for a series or something. That'd be super cool. I'd be down with that. Give her an outfit.
An outfit.
A Disney-fied outfit.
Yeah, not just a Tarzan loincloth and 2 socks on her boobs, that'd be nice. But
licking lightsabers and stuff.
yeah. I remember seeing her in Legends, and she looks great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, yeah, okay. It was I love Darth Talon, and I saw her, and I'm like, of course you do. Oh, I see. But it'd be cool to see her. I'd love to get her and get a character for her. Super cool. They can still do that.
Let me guess, it was the eyes. It was her eyes.
Yeah. That's all I saw.
Of course.
No, but to what you were saying, Eggy's Maul's hatred. So again, this was, I don't know if it's notes or an actual conversation with George Lucas, but again, this is all from 1999 to 2005. What year did the Clone Wars start? 2008?
7?
Yeah, somewhere close to that. Which means all this stuff happened before Disney was in the picture. George Lucas intentionally didn't make this thing, and continued with with Maul's story, and on top of that, when Maul comes back in the end of season 3, I believe, no, the end of season 4, when he pops back out, he specifically tells Kenobi, I have solely survived because of my singular hatred of you and you alone. Like, you are the reason I can't die until you're dead. Which, yeah, goes back to what you were saying. Like, I don't know if he works that well without Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I mean, especially since Obi-Wan's gone by the first episode of, the original trilogy. So then he shows up and then he's like, I'm the big bad. And Luke's like, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
And then Maul's like, who the hell are you? Where's Obi-Wan?
I was hoping for Kenobi. It's like, Kenobi's dead. Like, he's been dead for a while, man. Like, where have you been? Like, what would be
and then
cool,
Obi-Wan's Force Ghost appears and he's like, gotcha, bitch.
Yeah. It would speak to Maul's pettiness. Like, if so Darth Vader kills Obi-Wan and then Vader's dead. So literally, like, Maul is like, well, your dad killed Obi-Wan and you're his kid, so I'm going to take my revenge on you for what your dad did to my worst enemy. And Luke's like, look, man, like, when was the last time you had any water? Are you all right? Like, just Maul, like, feral and crazy. Like, oh, that'd be kind of fun. But yeah, there'd just be kind of, usually for me, I need the villain and the hero to have a connection. And there's just like no connection there. It's just, okay. There's
definitely a story there. There's a lot of time. Sure. There's a lot of time between TFA and ROTJ. And I feel like we have to kind of bridge this sort of thing, this trend that they have that big bads have to, span a saga. Like, no, if we want to see like Prime Luke, give him Darth Talon, give him like an ancillary Sith Lord to fight and defeats before anything happens. I don't know. I don't know if it works narratively.
I can get behind that.
Well, and granted, we still don't know the full story of Maul after, in between this time period where he shows up as Old Master. Like, how did he get outed? Did he try again? Did he try to teach someone and that person betrayed him too? And that's why he's like this? Darth Talon could still very well exist. There could be more Sith at this time period.
But I also
there's a lot you can do.
This, as you were saying, Choco, about how like people were more focused on being first rather than accurate. I feel like stuff like this, people latch onto it and think like, oh, this is what George Lucas wanted all along. Like, he did not want the sequel trilogy to go in this direction. And we've had like these quotes for the past like 5 years or past 6 years now with the sequel trilogy, where every little morsel of like a quote that George Lucas says is like a stark indictment of the sequel trilogy, as if like this is nothing like what he wanted. Like, if they took an interview from Unscripted and he was like, oh, I would like to see Qui-Gon come back to life. And then everyone's like, oh my gosh, the sequels would have had Qui-Gon. What's going on?
It's like, you can't just take, this is the equivalent to if, I'm trying to think of an example. If like I scribbled, if they would find George Lucas's like grocery list from 2003 and August of 2003, and it would say, bananas and beef jerky, and they'd be like, see, he wanted bananas and beef jerky in the sequel. It's like, you guys, like, Jesus Christ, like, you are reading, you will, I mean, they just take anything. It's because they want their hatred of the sequel trilogy to be justified or something. It's weird. It's like, you don't have to like anything. Like, it's fine. I'm friends with people who don't like the sequels. It's okay. You don't have to like it, but it's just this weird, subset
of people.
Yeah, it's like weird Indiana Jones adventure, like, of justification. Like, I will be right. It's like that weird energy. It's like, okay. It's fine, dude. Like, I don't know why you're so upset. Like, you have to like it.
I saw a couple of like videos because I was doing like I was watching a Leslye Headland interview in preparation for what we're going to talk about next, and I just saw a whole bunch of videos commenting on Kathleen Kennedy wearing the Force's female T-shirt, and I guess them having their feathers ruffled because of that. I'm like, why are we so concerned about what a shirt says? Like,
I don't know.
I mean, it says the Force is female. That's awesome. Like, the Force is whatever it needs to be at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, it's just, she's just making a statement. It's not like it's bothering you. Well,
yeah,
it is bothering.
Well, I'm personally offended because I believe the Force should be gender neutral. It should. The Force has not told us what its pronouns are. So
that is true.
I mean, like, it's a freaking shirt.
Yeah, it's a shirt, guys. It's okay.
But also,
like, some people have Darth Jar Jar Binks shirts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to be offended because it's not canon.
Mm-hmm.
That's not canon.
It's that classic thing of like it's and I know that there's like a term for this, like there's like a psychological, like scientific term for this, but it's like the practice of blaming one person for all the things you dislike, but not giving them credit for anything that you do like. It's like, she's an executive producer on The Mandalorian. Like, that, like, she's involved in a lot of stuff you love, but they just refuse to give. It's like this. Every time I think of like that discourse around Star Wars, I always think of The Last of Us 2. Always think of it. My husband's actually replaying it as we speak in the other room. I mean, it's like they were all so mad when Joel died. It was like, oh, he's dead. Like, wait, first off, my husband came into the room like the day it was released, and he's like, well, everyone's really mad about The Last of Us 2. And I'm like, why? Because Joel dies. And he's like, how did you know? I'm like, I didn't. It's just super obvious. Like, he's the mentor. He's the mentor. And he did a bunch of messed up stuff in the first game. It's probably going to catch up to him in this game. And as soon as I found out that it's Ellie's story, it's not Joel's, I'm like, well, yeah, Joel dies. Yeah. Duh. It's storytelling 101. And then I liked it. I liked the idea of then they flip and then you play Abby. Abby? Yeah. Abby for like, and it's like, oh, that's so cool. That's really interesting to me. Love that. But it's just this never ending barrage. Like, you go on YouTube and it's just so much. They're so angry. And I'm like, why? Why are you upset? And it just continues to, unfortunately, it just continues to reinforce this belief I have where it's like none of these people don't want to be challenged. They don't want anything that challenges them. They don't want anything that makes them uncomfortable or goes in a direction that they initially did. It's that classic thing of like, what I want didn't happen, so therefore the movie is bad. It's like, no, that's not how film critique works. Like, just because you didn't get your laundry list doesn't mean it's a bad movie. And it's not to take away from people who dislike the sequels for legitimate reasons or dislike The Last of Us 2 for legitimate reasons. Yeah. You can feel however you want. It's okay, but it's there's this line, that I'm like, you're crossing over into the nonsense line here, guys. Like, it's just and they're like, well, Kathleen Kennedy was involved in the sequel, so I hate her. I'm like, well, she was involved with The Mandalorian. It's like, well, no, it's Jon Favreau. It's Jon Favreau. It's Jon Favreau. It's like you seem to be picking what you like and don't like, but.
And like I said last week, Jon Favreau is Disney. He's the Disney side of it. He was Jungle Book 2, The Lion King. That's where.
He was responsible for volume almost entirely, right? I definitely want to do an episode, particularly an episode talking specifically about the role of an executive producer, because I think a lot of people think they know how a movie is made or how shows are made, but they don't know.
They don't.
I mean,
that's why I laugh every time I hear Dave Filoni for Lucasfilm president. I'm like, so you don't want him in a creative role? You want him managing budgets and stuff? Like, why? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like literally, she's responsible for green lighting, but she's managing budgets, she's project managing, and she's like, connecting people to the project to get things done, to enable the filmmakers. And see, I'm on the side that wants Filoni to stay like creative director, but he's president of Lucasfilm Animation. I would love him to be, president of all Lucasfilm arms of entertainment, animation, live action, TV shows, Disney Plus, and all that, and then just let Kathleen take care of executive producing and all of that good stuff.
And then get Claudia Gray in there.
Yes.
For the love of God.
Can you imagine?
I'm surprised the story group doesn't have Claudia Gray, Charles Soule, Stover. Could you imagine the story group like announces in the next couple of years? Oh, our new story group member, Drew Karpyshyn.
I have a conspiracy. No, it's not a conspiracy, but it's like I just on that topic, like in Queen's Peril, there's a line. It's one of my it's like, and it made me laugh out loud. This is just like a book that I think is being written right now, and I'm really, really fingers crossed hoping. But like, there's a line in Queen's Peril where Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are about to go to the Trade Federation. It's when they're doing the embargo on Naboo and stuff, and they're about to go, and Qui-Gon looks at Obi-Wan and he's like, "So we're going to Naboo," and Obi-Wan's like, "Uh-huh." He's like, "Naboo has a queen." And Obi-Wan's like, "Uh-huh." He's like, "What are we not going to do, Obi-Wan?" And he's like, "Fall in love with the royalty and the head of government for a planet." And he's like, "Yeah, we're not going to do that." Like, it's like, and I'm like, somewhere someone's writing that book right now. And it's like, and that's the only line we get relating to that. Then they keep going. And I'm like, somewhere someone's writing the Satine and Obi-Wan book. It's happening, and I will it into existence, And so, fingers crossed that maybe something, because it also like called back to like some Master and Apprentice stuff too by Claudia Gray. So I'm like, oh, maybe there's like a callback there. Oh, maybe there's something being worked on. So fingers crossed. But yeah, I would love to get Claudia Gray in there, to get Charles Soule. Charles Soule and he's like, yeah, he's good. He's real good.
They're all very good. That story has to happen. I mean, and especially since we have like speculation that in the Obi-Wan series, we'll get flashbacks back to the Clone Wars. So we'll see Hayden Christensen in his Clone Wars armor and Obi-Wan in his Clone Wars armor.
You think?
I'm hoping. But then that means we would. I really want, if the book's not going to happen in the Obi-Wan series, we'll flash back and get Liam Neeson to play Qui-Gon in their Master and Apprentice days. And see now who's gonna play Satine?
Here's what I want. Final episode, last bit of the Obi-Wan. Some random like messenger finds him in the desert and is like, "Hey," and like hands him papers. It's like, "You've been served for back child support." There's this kid named Corky.
Corky.
That would be an awesome way to canonize that.
Yeah.
And then it just fades to black, and you're like, "Wait, what?" Also, Mary Lou, this is it's kind of a non sequitur, but you mentioned Queen's Peril, and where I almost thought you were gonna go is there's the scene where they're all on the ship and they get the message, and Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, it's a trick, send no reply." And all the girls are like, "Duh, like,
duh.
Is he dumb? Are you?"
It's like, we been new, dude. Like, we know. Like, yeah, that was great. I love that part too.
But in terms of, speaking of Disney Plus shows, we are going to move on to our next topic. Leslye Headland recently went on an interview with Fantastic Frankie, talking about the show that she's doing. It's a female-led Disney Plus Star Wars show, she describes it as, it's in a pocket of the universe and a pocket of the timeline that we don't know much about. And for me, it's less about going through the Star Wars universe cinematically or artistically. I'm actually kind of combing through it geographically and going on a literal journey. I had my designer create that Indiana Jones, like we go here and then we go here with the little dotted red line, like this is our journey, this is where we're going. Now, I want to kick it off to Choco really quickly because I know for a fact this is one of your favorite characters, and I know hearing that description of this show.
I mean, there's only one person. I mean, you can't throw out Indiana Jones and pretend like we're not talking about Dr. Aphra. So that's what I need it to, especially if they're saying is like this is this adventure story. I just think it would be so incredible because really the character is the mashup of Han Solo and Indiana Jones, really.
Yeah.
With a touch more sass, you know.
And for our viewers and our listeners, who is Dr. Aphra?
She's awesome. I have a tough time describing her other than saying she's kind of like a mixture of Han and Indiana Jones at the same time. But her journeys, you know, she's very morally ambiguous. Well, less than that. She leans towards the dark because she doesn't trust anyone, doesn't like anyone, and is aware like, hey, this is how the galaxy works. If you have enough credits, then you can have friends, you know, and has no qualms about hurting or killing or whatever if need be. And she's just highly intelligent and is always looking for amazing and incredible artifacts, especially ancient weaponry that she can then turn around and sell to the highest bidder.
I loved in her comic run when she brandished a lightsaber. That was interesting. But yeah, she's an archaeologist. I think it's safe to say.
A rogue archaeologist.
Yeah.
And then we also have to acknowledge what hopefully would be one of her sidekicks in this, which would be one of my favorite droids of all time, 000. Picture C-3PO, only he's silver and has a penchant towards murder and specifically torture.
He's awesome.
One of my favorite lines is, she's working with Vader on something and they kidnap this guy and he's trying to get information. So they have 000 torture the guy to get the information. Sometime later, 000 walks up to Vader and is like, okay, I have good news and bad news. What do you want first? Vader's like, well, what's the good news? He's like, well, I was able to get the information. And the information that we wanted. And Vader's like, good, go kill him. And he's like, oh, well, then I have more good news.
Yeah. Obviously, you want Chloe Bennett.
Yes.
I think that's just like perfect casting. Eggy, I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Aphra. Have you seen like pictures or comics of her?
Yeah, I've read and it's like, okay, I love all the Darth Vader series, but there's like 15 of them. The
first one, the 2015.
The first one. Yeah, that's I read the first couple of volumes of that. I have I think the first 5 volumes, or 4 or something. So yeah, I am familiar with Dr. Aphra in that context. I've read her adventure with Vader. She's super cool. I really like her. I've always wanted to read more stories with her. I know she has her own series, so that's something that's been on my list for a while. So I am familiar with Dr. Aphra. I really like what I've read of her, and she's a really cool character. I think I love how she's morally gray. I love that she's just a survivor. She's like, look, man, like if she kills someone, it's at least from what I've seen, it's like, it's nothing personal. It's just, I can't have you stay alive. I can't keep you alive. I got to keep going. And I think I really like her. So seeing her in a show would be super cool. I can't think. No one else really comes. I don't know if anyone else is coming into mind for this show, because this is the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to see who, because that's, what time period would that be? That would be during the Empire.
This is just after. I mean, the 2015 series happens just after A New Hope. So
Right.
It's in that period. And there's like 2 years in between, but there's always stuff going on in the background.
Yeah, there's always stuff. Yeah, I would love to get like more. Like if Hera is old enough, like get like some more Hera. I just really like Hera. My friend was playing Squadrons, and I was over and I was just sitting with her. It looks super fun, and she was playing. She was attacking. She was the Empire, and she was attacking the rebels. And Hera pops up, and she's like, "You won't defeat her," or whatever. I'm like, "Oh my god, don't hurt her!" Like, you know. But then, of course, you start. We find out that one of the characters, Gray, there's like some like dialogue where they're like, "What are you going to do after the war?" And he's like, "I'm going to retire to an island with my husband." And I was like, well, I'm going to sign up for the Empire now because I want Gray to get back. But I want Gray to live in a cottage with his husband and have a good life. So sign me up for the Empire, I guess.
Speaking of which, that's that. If they are doing Afro, that is some additional representation as well. I believe she's Pan.
Yeah. Is she? Oh, I thought she was gay. Is she Pan?
It's. I
Never
know.
been confirmed.
It would make more sense for me if she's Pan, because I don't know if anyone else got this. It was a hot take when I read the comic. There was a little bit of sexual tension with Vader and her. I'm not sure if anybody else got that.
Hey, there's sexual tension with Vader and everyone he talks to. They're crying, goodness gracious, how can you resist Robot Dad? I'm being serious. How can you resist him? One of my friends was in this. So when I was in college, funny segue, I actually took a Star Wars class. It was so fun. My college had a Star Wars class, and I had finished all my requirements, and I was just filling in time with electives, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, yeah. And there were so many cool people in my class, and we had such a good time. And one of them was he's like, my favorite character is Dr. Aphra. Like, he was like, that's my favorite character. And I think he was the one who told me she was gay. So, but maybe something at that point, because that was a couple of years ago, at that point, maybe some developments had been made, and she had hooked up with some gender neutral or some gentleman. So who knows? I'm cool with whatever. I'm like, hell yeah. Like a lady who just does whatever she wants. Unintended.
It would certainly work, right? It's the pocket of the universe, the pocket of the timeline that not many fans know about, and not many fans know about Dr. Aphra or Darth Vader's adventures with her. And not a lot of people know that Darth Vader was trying to usurp Palpatine for the longest time. A female-fronted show on Disney Plus, Dr. Aphra would be an amazing one for sure. It makes sense. The Indiana Jones angle, going from planet to planet, and it would also be awesome if that were kind of like a semi-vehicle to have Hera meet her, like every other, like other characters meet Dr. Aphra in her dealings, because I know like the Ghost crew has, dealt with pirates and have dealt with smugglers before. So, anything to make the galaxy bigger and make it more lived in, where the characters know each other. Obviously there's a side of me that's like, no, not everyone knows each other. The galaxy's a big freaking place. And then the other side of me is like, well, some characters have to know each other because sometimes their paths intertwine, and if Dr. Aphra has worked with Darth Vader, I'm sure that she has met other people close to Darth Vader in terms of narrative.
Well, I mean, we do also, like, for the character specifically, we do have we already have some connections already, because she has met Han and Luke, and she has, she was arrested by Leia and was broken out with Leia and what's her name? The girl where the internet blew up because she said that she was Han Solo's wife.
Oh my gosh.
I remember that.
I remember
Do you
that
remember
panel
that?
too.
Everyone was like it's not his wife, guys. Like it's like when Captain America was like, "Hail Hydra." It's like, yeah, it's clearly, guys.
we'll clear this up, absolutely. But
wasn't it close to like Mara Jade, even though it wasn't Mara Jade, like the name?
No, the name is escaping me. But that girl was her longstanding girlfriend. They went to school together and were on and off again for years. So there's already connections there. We know that she has run into Maz Kanata back when Maz was still mobile and a pirate queen. But if anyone, I want her to run into Hondo.
I was about to say, like, Afra's kind of like Hondo Anaka, sort of like, morally gray. Sometimes I'll help you, but what's in it for me? Sometimes you run into Hondo, you're like, I don't know if he's going to shoot me or help me. That would be a great meeting. That'd be so fun.
Afra, what are you doing here?
Hello, my friends.
Now what do you want?
We have something the Empire doesn't. What's that? We are desperate.
He's great.
I love Hondo.
Oh man. Okay. So I guess we're gonna move on to our final topic of this episode. Spoiler alert. Spoilers abound. Chapter 11, The Heiress. I'm gonna just let you guys take it away.
First of all, there was a moment where they left the child with Frog Lady, and Frog Lady had given birth, and I'm like, please don't eat your child. Please don't eat your child. Please don't eat. That didn't happen. So that was cool, but the entrance of our other Mandos and the reveal was incredible. And Katie Sackhoff is still got it. I keep seeing people like, does Bo-Katan not age? And you're like, you realize that Katie Sackhoff is the correct age to play.
Yeah, she would be in her 40s, right? Late 40s at this time.
Kevin made a video about that today. He was like, oh, she's not, people are saying she's not the right age. But like, he was like, no, she is. Here you go. And I was like, people forget that the Empire only lasted 24 years? Palpatine was the president of space for 24 years. It was okay. It really wasn't that long. So she's the right age.
Speaking of the Frog Lady and the frog and stuff like that, it was kind of interesting to see kind of the knee-jerk reaction to last week's episode. I guess we had a semi #cancel Baby Yoda moment where people thought he committed genocide, but I was just, when I started reading all of those reactions, I was like, guys, we eat eggs every day.
Yeah.
It's not like he saw something, made the one-to-one connection. It's like, oh, it's her children, then ate it. I think at the moment, and I said it in my reaction, I think at the moment when he saw it, the tadpole burst out of the egg, he was like, oh no.
Yeah.
What did I eat? And had that moment. Can't believe this episode went full bore on the narrative. Like we said it in the last episode of this podcast. We're not going to get 2 blockbuster episodes in a row. We're going to get plot pushers. And so definitely last week was a plot pusher because it pushed him to freaking Bo-Katan. And I think
the extra lore that we got on on Mando.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Before we dive into that, I just want to toot my own horn a little bit because I was kind of correct. Because every time we got those questions about the helmets, I always speculated it has nothing to do with those other Mandalorians. It has everything to do with, the coverts or the covenants after the purge. And then when Bo-Katan was explaining the Child of the Watch and the religious zealots, I was just like, yeah, I was right.
Real quick though, number one, when Frog Lady reunited with her husband, I cried.
I almost cried.
Well, because she's so little, and she's got her little backpack with her babies, and she's standing like, I can't even think about it. I'm gonna get emotional. And she does her little like, rah, and everyone's walking by, and I was like, oh my god, please no. And then there he is, and I'm like, oh my god. And they like do when they are walking, Mando's where they're going to the bar, they're like are holding hands and they're like waddling. I'm like, I'm going to die. This is so cute, and I am so invested in their marriage, and loved that. Number two, real quick, Bryce Dallas Howard directed the shit out of this episode. We were watching it because I watch it Friday night because I can't stay up late because then I will literally fall asleep at my desk on Friday morning. So I watch it Friday night and I just don't go on Twitter. And I went over to my best friend's house and she was like, oh, have you seen it yet? I was like, no. She's like, oh, I watched it earlier. Like, let's watch it. And we were watching it and I'm like, who directed this? Like, this is amazing. Mm-hmm. Like the action is great. Like just everything, the staging is great. Camera works great. Like everything was, and it moved and it moved and it moved. Loved that. And I didn't figure this out. Someone pointed this out on Twitter, but what's the ship called? What is
Razor
Crest?
Crest.
Razor Crest. When it's entering the atmosphere, it's there's a good 7 seconds where it's a homage to Apollo 13, which was directed by her father. And it's because it's when the ship is entering Earth's atmosphere, because there's a shot of Mando's like control panel above, and it's like there's like water dripping, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting shot. Like, we've never seen any shot like that kind of in Star Wars, if there's like a crash landing. And then someone did the side by side. It's like there's a shot of the control panel and Apollo 13 like dripping with water from the heat. And it's like, oh, that's so cool. So I loved that. Mando's ship.
It's the most resilient thing in the world.
God, people talk like, oh, the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, in his poor ship, when it fell in the water.
Oh, I laughed so hard.
I was like, oh, this poor guy.
Nice and easy, as he said.
Yeah. Loved it. So, yeah, and what's one thing I love too? I love, just before we get to like the Mandalorian lore and stuff, I love how much Mando is talking. He talks a lot now. Like, in the first season, he was literally a man with no name. He was literally just Clint Eastwood, like, just a man with no naming his way through. And he was like, very like, this is the way. Oh, I want money. Like, he was very kind of, there's such a significant change in the way that he speaks to people now and how much he speaks. Like, he was very monotone. And now he, like, when he is talking to the frog husband and he's like, I was told that you could lead me to more of my kind. Like, he sounds so sincere and gentle, and he is very, very, there's such a change in him, which I love.
And he learned too.
Yeah.
What about the exact opposite of sincerity when the Quarren hits the child into the water?
Okay.
What was your response to that?
Okay, so my best friend had a good poker face because the Quarren, he's like talking to the Quarren, and I mean, he does like the evil laugh, like he's like, I can lead you, and like Treble's on the way, obviously. But I looked at her, I was like, it's great, because she doesn't really, she's seen a lot of the Clone Wars, but not all of it. I was like, the Quarren, they had this whole fight, this fight on Mon Cala. They were trying to take over, like, from the Mon Calamari in the Clone Wars. They were with the Separatists. It's so nice to see them helping. and then they hit the baby, and I was like, fuck these guys. Like, my husband was like, they're all awful. Like, they're all terrible. Yeah, they knocked him in the water, and I was like, oh no, kill all of them. I feel nothing now. Like, every time the child's in danger, I have a very aggressive reaction. Like, anytime that baby is in danger, I'm like, kill them, kill them. I don't care. The baby. So that was my reaction.
I appreciate every time the baby's on screen doing something.
Yeah.
Just like when all of the emotions and the dust settles from what we had just watched at the end, when Din catches that creature from dropping on him, and he's like, ah, having fun about that. Man, he's always like the cutest thing on screen. It's intoxicating almost.
Now the starfish thing, I was going to drop on him. For a second, I forgot what universe we were on, and I'm like, "Is that the Black Mercy?" Like,
they do that a lot. DC. They like tease like things that you think are like that. Like when I saw that starfish thing, I was like, "Oh, that's going to be the next episode. It's going to like infect Baby Yoda, and he's going to be sick or something." And then it's like, "Oh no." Like, oh no, it's just a thing. It's like the intro to last week's where he gets like, those guys set up the booby trap. And I was like, oh, Baby Yoda's going to get kidnapped. They're like, no. It's just kind of like a fun side thing.
I have a feeling Yoda's species can just eat everything.
Yeah.
So is the child Nibbler from Futurama?
Yeah,
because he's kind of giving me Nibbler vibes, you know what I mean? Also, like this episode, especially with being able to see the Mandos fight together and their fighting prowess. I was, first of all, they kick ass. But the first time, or I guess the second time we see them fight, I was mad that the Quarians were like, "You killed my brother," and you're like, "Are you kidding me? He took me out to murder me and this child. You're aware of that, right? Like,
imagine he wasn't.
I am not in the wrong here."
Yeah.
It was so exciting how, like, you could see it in my reaction when Bo-Katan first came down, and I saw, first of all, the visor on Night Owl helmets are so distinct. So I recognized that.
You knew it was her.
Yeah.
Well, not immediately. So I recognized the Night Owl visor, and then when I saw the Night Owl, decoration, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And then I lost my crap, or so to speak. I just lost it, and I couldn't speak. Like my voice was trembling, and I was like, oh my God.
I loved your video. It was so good. I was like, because I was right there with you. I was like, oh my God, here she comes. And you're right, Element. When all the weird discourse around like the helmet discourse, it was like, I always just thought, oh, it's like different indigenous tribes have different cultures. Like, that's kind of like how I thought of it. Like, I was like, oh, different Mando, like tribes have different, or collectives have different ways of kind of how they feel they are the Mandalorian, like how they express that they're the Mandalorian or whatever. Like, that's what I always thought. Mm-hmm. And then it's like the classic thing of people just making a huge deal out of it. It always, the helmet discourse like reminded me of the Snoke discourse, where it was like, well, who's Snoke? And I'm, it's like 2015, and I'm like, I really don't think it matters who Snoke is. And they're like, no, but he's gotta be. And then it turned out it didn't really.
Is he Mace Windu?
Snoke was, yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Like, and I was fine with I was like, yeah, cool. Snoke's just kind of a cool, like I said, I am convinced I am the one person on the planet that likes Snoke as a villain. I think his role as a villain's great. I'm like,
I love Andy Serkis played the heck out of that.
God, he played the heck out of it. It was wonderful.
No, but going back to the helmet discourse, yeah. First of all, the comments of, oh, it was because Disney doesn't know what they're doing. You're like, no, Dave Filoni created the Mando lore that you know
Mando
of.
Lore.
Low-hanging fruit, but it had to be said. But no, like, Dave Filoni is involved in this whole project, and he, like, obviously he knows it, right? It's not him forgetting. And so I also made a video, and I was like, basically, hey, well, what do we know so far? What have they said? This is our secrecy is our strength now, and we're in hiding. And people are like, well, what about other ones? I'm like, well, all we know is from this one group. So I'm speaking about this group. I'm sure we'll find out more soon. Like, that's what I said.
Yeah. I have a question for you, Choco, specifically. Do we know what Dank Ferric means yet?
No, it sounds like some type of medicinal or recreational paraphernalia.
So, I mean, like, Din says it a lot. Bo-Katan says it to Axe when he says, "You're one of them." She's like, "Dank Ferric." Like, I know it's a Mandalorian phrase.
It's a guy. It's a name. So I once, like, the finale's like, "It is me, Dank Ferric." I mean, it could be a name, I guess.
It sounded like I thought it was his name at first. That guy she was talking to, but his name's Axe Wolves.
Dank Ferric, yes. It's just like, God damn it, or something. It's kind of like how, like, wait, isn't
it's them saying Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Dank Ferric. Like, is it Criff? Isn't Criff like shit? Yeah, Criff or something.
Yeah. These Griffin things and like,
yeah. I've heard that, so I figured, it's just kind of like a curse. If some dude shows up in like white Jesus robes and is like, "It is I, Dank Ferric," that'd be funny. But yeah.
Speaking of the lore, though, like, I actually really like it. Like, the fact that, so of course there's gonna be some confusion around what this all means for Din, and may I just say, I was a wee bit offended when he called Bo-Katan not a Mandalorian. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, me too.
I know you don't know who exactly you're talking to right now, but she is royalty at this point. Like, she is the Mandalorian.
The Heiress.
And you're like, "You're not a Mandalorian." And I loved how she was just like, "I'm the last in my line." It's like, this armor has been in my family for generations. But then we find out that, of course, he is a child of the Watch. And did they reveal the name? I've watched it so many times, I forgot. I don't know if they revealed the name of the religious zealot that the Child of the Watch is a part of. But it's a cult that, separated itself to kind of honor the ancient ways. And that's where the Helmet Creed came from. And they're separate from Mandalorian society, and I'm wondering, like, well, no, I don't have to worry about it, because I think we're definitely going to get, a little bit more of a dissemination of what exactly that means. But for sure, I'm thinking just because of the name Death Watch, it's got to be some type of Vizsla. Just saying. I don't know if there's any more Vizslas out there.
Well, it could be because there was the major families, right? And then spread off of those were clans. So, you would call the families houses. So like Sabine is House Vizsla, even though she's a Kryze,
No, Ren.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
The Kryze is also in House Vizsla as well.
But I loved the lore. I loved getting deeper in this. I loved, Giancarlo popping back up in the video, and they're like, "Oh, we're having trouble escaping. What should we do?" And he's like, "You know what you need to do."
Yeah.
Is it too late?
Ooh.
Okay.
Ooh.
No.
Yeah. It's I also was annoyed. Like, so I love Pedro Pascal's vocal work. I like when he's like, because he's like shaking and he's like, the child, like, help me, like, and she fought, like, how the heck did what's her name, Sasha
Banks or
Banks?
Mercedes at this point?
Okay, yeah, I like don't know what the hell she did, because that thing swallowed that capsule, but she got him out and she came up. And when and she rips the thing off, and first off, when she takes him out, he looks especially adorable. Like, he always looks adorable, but like, she was like, "Oh, here," and then Din has him, and he's like, thank you. Like, and he's like really shaken. I'm like, "Oh my God, you're such a dad." And oh my God. And I always think of, like, this show is going to end like that episode of Pokemon where they find all the Pikachus and Ash leaves Pikachu with all of his Pikachu friends. And he's like, goodbye, it's going to be so heartbreaking and I'm going to cry.
Was that the moment Pikachu talked? Or was that just like
No, that's an old episode from when we were children. No, that's not that weird movie where he's like, Ash. I'm like, what the hell? I never saw that. I never saw that. I think my friend, one of my other friends, Brandon's like, Pikachu talks in this new movie. And I was like, I haven't really consumed any Pokemon media for a long time. So I was like, yeah, of course he does. And he's like, well, I think it's a girl. And I'm like, get out of my house. Okay. Like, I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah, that's when you need to sprinkle some holy water on that or something.
Yeah. I was like, no, thanks. But yeah, when he's like, you're not Mandalorians. And I'm like, then, okay. 20 seconds ago, they saved your green baby. Like, relax. Like, maybe say thank you and do like, but he kind of just immediately gets all puffy at him and he's like, no. And my favorite part is when they save him again. And then he's like, okay. And they're like, can we buy you a drink? And it just continues my series long mystery of how do you eat?
Mm-hmm. Well,
he's like, can we buy you a drink? I'm like, he's not going to drink anything.
Like, yeah, he's definitely not going to do something in public because there was an episode in the last.
He has like a straw that like goes like up into the helmet. I'm like, how do you got to wash your face? Like, I remember when and I'm a hashtag fake fan. What's the droid's name? IG
11.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm going to take your helmet off. I'm like, oh, his face is going to be gross and greasy. Like, when do you wash your face? But yeah, no, it just is, that mystery of like, when do you eat? Yeah, he must eat in private, right? He has to take it off.
Yeah, it's the question Darth Maul gets. How do you pee?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's a good point.
But there was an episode in season 1 where Din took off his helmet in private. But I was kind of hoping like after they bought him a drink, at some point he would have been like, oh, is it okay? Okay. I'm amongst true Mandalorians. Can I talk to Katie Sackhoff? Like,
personally, I love that he's not, and he's having to have this, existential crisis between this faith that he has, where, it's what has protected him all these times. It's the only reason he's alive. It's the only people he's ever known. But this child is this lost child. It's a lost child, just like he was a lost child, and he is, the child represents his own innocence, and he's doing whatever he can to protect it while being true to himself. And we've seen already several times where those two narratives have intersected. And what do you do? What do you do at that point?
What does he prioritize?
The last time they intersected, the Mandalorians from his covert helped him, but it looks like most of them died because of it. And so what does this mean? How is he going to be able to reconcile these two things? And I think that's going to be the beautiful part of the story.
His journey is going to represent what changes within him, right?
Yeah.
Like, cause he is.
Oh yeah.
Ever since he met the child, found the child, he's been. I wouldn't call it a downward spiral, but in the same sense, it's kind of like an upward trajectory of like all of the things that he used to do and care about is suddenly out of the window, and he cares about the child. He's no longer chasing bounties. He's not doing things that he would normally do as a bounty hunter. And so that's going to continue to change.
He helps this frog lady. He doesn't have to. And she has information. It's like, but like that was one of my favorite parts of last week's when he's like, well, how long have you known her? And she's like, 10 minutes. Like, we don't know. She's just like, she's so like the frog lady is the definition of a vulnerable person. She's a mother, and she has like her eggs in this, this cake. Like she's and she is helpful. Like she rewired that droid to like talk to him, but like she's very vulnerable. Like this isn't like a team up with some other bounty hunters, like he's actively doing something that is not beneficial to him. He's helping other people, and there's no bounty. There's not there, this bounty hunting has stopped. Like he's just, you see this change in him, he, and the way that he left people in season 1 is so different. Like, in season 1, he was betrayed by the other bounty hunters, and he gets all of them, and then a lot of his relationships end badly. And in this season, we see him forging friendships and allies, and like Cobb's like, I hope we meet again, and he's like, yeah, me too, man. Like it's really nice to see it. I mean, like in season 1, I remember the moment that Baby Yoda was revealed, I was like, oh, this is some Lone Wolf and Cub shit. Like we are straight up doing Lone Wolf and Cub. Like this is great. I love it. And it's about him. Yeah. Like, becoming a bit of a softie and learning to, cause he's so, focused on, I mean, he's got the Mandalorians that he's with that he obviously cares about very much, but he's very kind of like center focused, and but that's all, like, yeah, like you said, Coco, like that's all he knows. He just knows like his coven, and now he's making friends and meeting other Mandalorians and forging friendships with people that don't have skill sets to benefit him. It's nice. It just seeing him. I'm just such a sucker for like seeing him just being sweet is just
enough so to be able to knock on a door and be like, take care of the child for me. Like have those babysitters.
Yeah, exactly. He's just getting like a good line of babysitters, be like, can you please watch him? Thank you. And just, man, it's great. I love it.
Well, I love that he is using babysitters and not constantly carrying the child into horribly dangerous situations. So that's been kind of weird for me. But going back to what you were saying about Wolf and Cub, and even the Pokemon reference, is he going to White Fang the child when he finally finds their people? Like he's going to find a flock of Yoda species, put him down, and then the child's going to try to run back to him, and he's going to be like, get out of here.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Get out of here. We don't want you anymore. I don't want you anymore. Get.
Oh, God, no.
That's part of a larger question. Is this the show where we finally know where he comes from? Are we going to meet that flock?
We got to.
Yeah.
Is Yoda species another case of Anakin where George Lucas says we will never reveal his origin?
I think we're going to find out who the Yoda species is. I think we're going to, I think eventually, I think the show, here's a good question though. It's like, is the show going to, I mean, I guess it has to. Like, it's like, is the show going to end with him saying goodbye to Baby Yoda, or will he kind of maybe next season, will he drop Baby Yoda off and then continue on his own? I think it probably has to end with him saying goodbye to Baby Yoda, because that's where his character arc hangs with Baby Yoda. And when he finally lets Baby Yoda go be free, and he finally, finds where Baby Yoda belongs, and then kind of goes off on his own. I guess the show has to end at that point. I do think it's going to be like, they'll probably go full cliche, which I want. I will. Oh my God. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, when he eventually says goodbye to this baby, I am going to die. I can't handle that. I'm not ready for that emotion. But when he finally, brings him to his village and is like, okay, goodbye, what I do want, I think it would be funny that if like that moment comes and he meets the Yoda tribe and he drops him off, he's like, all right, well, goodbye forever. And I kind of want the whole like village to be like, you can come back. like we're not hiding, bro.
We don't
like,
have walls.
Yeah, come back on Saturdays and come see him. We'd love to see you. This isn't goodbye forever. What weird narrative? Like, why do you have to leave forever? I do think that'd be funny. Like, they're like, come see us. Yeah, come see us. So you'll come hang out. And then Din would be like, oh, okay, great. And then it just kind of ends like happy like that. I think that'd be kind of cute. I hope that's what happens.
What if the ending? What if like we get a third season where he ends up finally feeling free to take off his helmet because he meets like a hot lady bounty hunter, and they do their thing. He continues on his journey, drops off the child, and is heartbroken. Goes back to her, finds out she's pregnant.
Yeah.
And then that's where it ends. And it's like, oh, well, now you get to be a dad for real. And
we have a baby
your
Mando.
experiences have made you a great dad.
Mm-hmm. That'd be sweet.
It's interesting
Aww.
to speculate whether or not this has a clear ending to begin with. Right? We're still kind of in the middle of this quest, and now we have to move on to the next part of this heavy episode. The big name drop. I mean, okay, so first of all, like, meeting Bo-Katan was big enough, right? I didn't think that they were just going to do it. And they just did it, right? They name dropped it. He needs to go to the city of Caladan and the forest planet of Corvus to find Ahsoka Tano.
It would be funny if she was like Ahsoka Smith. Like a completely different Ahsoka. Like, she like runs a truck service. Like it's a completely different person. That'd be funny. No. Yeah. I did love, side note, before that reveal, I did love how it, like Bryce Dallas Howard was just like, they're just going to be cool. Like we're not, there's going to be no struggle. There's going to be, which I liked, like there's going to be no like, oh, we're pinned down. Can we do it? It's like, no, they're just going to strut their way through this ship. It's just going to be a music video through the ship. I loved their theme music, by the way. When they show up, that music that plays, that's a bop. Like that was, I loved that. But yeah, she says, and there you will find Ahsoka Tano. And I'm like, oh, we're going to see her. We're going to finally see her. I wonder if, I mean, but again, I mean, Din's going to be like, I'm looking for the Jedi. And Ahsoka's going to be like, well,
I am no Jedi.
Not to burst your bubble, but I'm no Jedi, so because they're like, you have to find the Jedi. So when he finds her, it's not like game over and, quest completed. She's gonna be like, well, I'm not a Jedi. So, but if you want to find those grumpy old farts, I mean, sure, I guess like here's a map or something. I'm curious to see what Ahsoka's role is going to be for sure. I'm very excited to see her.
Yeah, that's a great point because, I mean, we've been so excited of this journey to this point, but it's like, what do you think Ahsoka's going to do? What are we expecting?
Well, obviously, she's like the only connection to the Jedi we have in the show right now. And there's a lot of implications in bringing in Ahsoka. I mean, I get the question a lot on my videos. Did Ahsoka meet Luke? Did Ahsoka meet anybody else? And it's after Return, so the Emperor's dead. Well, not dead, but the Emperor's gone for now, and Ahsoka has this chance and to meet Luke. Luke is, training new Jedi. He's starting his new school. He's training Leia at this point. So we have to think like her role could possibly be bridging that gap. I mean, obviously she's not a Jedi, but does she meet Luke? Is a question I want to ask.
What if Luke shows up?
Sebastian Stan.
What if he does?
I'm gonna say no.
No.
I mean, obviously, like the Secrets of the Jedi book, like he describes Ahsoka as if he's never met her. So I don't think that they ever met, but like, I don't think Ahsoka is the end game here. I don't think like.
No, me neither.
Who is the Jedi that he like when you get that big goodbye with Baby Yoda, like be free. Who exactly is it? Just his species, or is it someone who is actually a Jedi that knows how to raise? Well, if it is his species and his species happens to be a Force-sensitive species, then it doesn't really matter at that point. But I wonder if the end game is actually Jedi.
It's gonna be Ezra and Thrawn, and they're gonna be the child's two dads.
I love that.
Was it two and a
two
half
men
men?
and a baby. Yeah, two and a half men, 2 men and a baby. Oh my God. Can you imagine Thrawn with a baby? Oh my God. I mean, if Thrawn and Ezra are surviving on some island together, first off, as we all know, they find Thrawn on some jungle planet anyway. So he can take care of himself. Like he's like covered in like, gazelle pelts, like just hanging out. Like, so Thrawn's fine. Like, but oh my God, can you imagine? Let me just thought. I like to imagine like Mando finds Ahsoka and he's like, Ahsoka Tano, and she's like, yeah. like it's like, what do you, he's like, I was told to find you, and she's like, okay, like what do you want? He's like, I have this baby. She's like, good for you. Like it's like, she's like, I like to think that Ahsoka's gonna be like, I don't know what to do. Okay. Like he's like, do I guess it? And it's like this awkward moment where he's like, do I give you the baby? And she's like, I don't know you, bro. Like, who are you? Like, I don't want a baby. Like, what? Whoa, like, what responsibility is this? I agree with you guys though, because when they're like, you have to find the Jedi, I'm like, well, why? Like, what are the Jedi going to do with the? Well, then again, we still don't know, I guess. Well, we all know that the child is force sensitive, of course, but we still don't quite know what the Empire wanted with the post-Empire wanted with the baby. We don't really know, right? They were just like gonna like do experiments on him, but we don't really know why. So there might be something else important about him, I guess.
I think the prevailing theory right now as to what the child's importance is something very tragic. And that is using the cells of the child to enable the strandcast of Snoke.
Oh.
So I'm not sure I want that to happen, but
that's what I think it is as well.
Huh.
It's a very plausible thing. And I don't want to see it happen because if this show ever ends, I don't want the child's end to come with it. I want the child to go on and we'll have that frolicking meadow scene.
They're not going to kill a baby. Like, no way are they killing this baby. Like,
they killed a couple in the last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like egg phase, but not.
They weren't cute though. All right. Like they're not going to kill this merchandise machine. They're not going to, I can't see them do. I can see them like, I think maybe like what could happen could be like, they got Baby Yoda on the James Bond operating table. Oh no. And they get some cells and then Din busts in and saves him. And they're like, well, we have nothing to work with. It's like, no, we can work with this. Like they get enough and they're like, oh, we can figure it out. Maybe they can, that'll be what happens. They don't get everything they need, but they get enough. And then Baby Yoda just like weak for a bit. And then he takes one of his like 5-month naps and then he's fine. I think I guess that could happen, but I can't see this. I mean, then again, it's Star Wars and all Star Wars does is hurt me. So who knows?
I certainly don't think that they would go so far as to, you know what, I think they're going to go as far as taking samples from the child, but the child is saved rather than the child being completely engulfed or absorbed into this scientific experiment and we lose the child.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, that portion is already done. Like they successfully removed the cells that they needed in the first season and said to just get rid of the child. And that's when Mando saves him. So I believe both are true. That portion has already been finished. But I like to believe that the vials that were in Palpatine's neck while he was on the Omen harness was full of whatever cells they were pulling. And he was just running out of it because they didn't think it was going to take this long. This was just a stopgap. They should have stocked up,
And now implications abound as to what Yoda's species is, and if their cells are just like the fountain of youth, ambrosia for Force sensitives. That's interesting.
Maybe they are all Force virginses, like as a species.
Wow. Yeah, I've had that thought for the longest time that Yoda's species are just paragons of the light side. And they just, when they all grow up to be 100, they all become Jedi Masters, just like Yaddle and Yoda. And so the child in his future, past the time of Luke and Rey, just becomes a Jedi Master or something, just out of necessity.
What if they don't grow? It evolves into the next form, which is just bigger. It's not a slow gradient. It's just like one day he's like, hello, and you're like, oh god.
Goes into a cocoon and then pops out Yoda size. Yeah.
He like lights up. And it's like he's evolving. It's like Pokemon, like red, and it's like like on Game Boy where it's like and he's like, hello. Oh god, I would
Who's
die.
that character?
If he's so cute. God, it's very interesting. There's so many mysteries still. That's the one thing that ever since, I think one of the biggest changes for me is that I feel before I joined Star Wars TikTok was that I was like pretty not set in my ways, but I was like, well, I know all I need to know about Star Wars. Like I was like, I know all I'll ever need to know, and I'm pretty content with everything that I know. And then you get on Star Wars TikTok and it's just like, whoa, what? And I actually have a video sitting in my drafts where it's like a challenge for like for all Star Wars creators on TikTok, like what have you learned? Like since joining Star Wars TikTok, like how have your opinions changed? What have you learned from other creators? Like there is so much stuff. It is crazy and so fun, and there's all these still all these mysteries. I wonder. I just want I don't know. I don't know. And that's the thing about the Mandalorian is that I've never been a big theorizer. Like, what's going to happen? Like, I don't usually do that type of stuff. Like, I have ideas. I guess for the Rise of Skywalker, I had some ideas, but that was because we had 2 pieces of the puzzle, and, in a 3-piece puzzle. And I was like, well, I think I can see where I might want this to go. But for the Mandalorian and like 99% of Star Wars media, I'm like, I don't know. Like what? I'm just here for the ride. Like, let's go. I don't usually theorize on what's going to happen. I'm just happy to be here. But man, there's so many places it could go. Who knows? And who knows how many seasons it'll go? I do hope it'll stay under. I hope that they'll do 5 at most. I feel like most television shows should like end at 5.
I hope that it's as many seasons as they need it to be to tell the story, right?
Sure.
I know a lot of shows have been canceled prematurely, and then their story just had to take a slice and just end it there.
Looking at you, Firefly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, or at least we got Serenity. Well, Bleach continued in the manga form, right? But
yeah, it the
is
last
coming back.
Oh, is it? I actually was never that huge. Bleach was fine. Like I just remember I watched a video essay on like the publication of the series, and it was fascinating. I guess the final arc, like Shonen Jump gave the mangaka, I forget his name, they were like, you have to end it in 3 chapters. And he was like, oh, and he just kind of had to end it. Like, he just didn't have enough time to kind of wrap it up. But yeah, you want a show to go as long as it has to. If it's 6-7 seasons, okay. But I feel like most times it's like by the time I get to season, I watched The Office for the first time during quarantine. I'd never seen all of it. And yeah, Michael Scott leaves, and I'm like, oh, this just like is bad now. Like, this just isn't good anymore. So I think that I just want it to go as long as it needs to.
And when I say that, I mean as long as it needs to, right? Because there are some shows out there that go on for seasons, and their writing just keeps on going in like these weird directions that you're just kind of like, this could have ended like 2 seasons ago.
Oh yeah. There's
right
nothing
now, you're
worse.
just every single season finale is just this gratuitous open-endedness so that you can go on, but you can literally just finish this story. And so that's what I love about Mandalorian right now is that as many answers as we get from episode to episode, there's always more to learn, and that's what I love about the Star Wars universe. There's always just more mysteries. No matter how many answers you get in one particular episode, movie, or comic, the more answers you get, the more questions you ask.
Yeah.
Which is great. And I don't want everything explained. I don't need that. Like, I don't need every detail explained, or like, oh, there's a pin, like put a bow on everything. It's like, no, leave it open-ended. I'm cool with I love open-ended stuff. That's
one of the things that kind of ticked me off about, when people say, one of the critiques of the sequel trilogy is, why wasn't it in the movie? Why do I have to read a book to find the answers? And, the thing about Star Wars is that Star Wars has never given you all of the answers. It's always let the fans interpret it or theorize about all of these things. And if you want the answer, read the book. But a lot of the movies have enough for you to at least 2 + 2 = 4 at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I always say, there's 2 types of people: those that can extrapolate from incomplete details.
I love that one. Okay, so we are just about out of time. So anybody have any final thoughts before I sign us out?
All I know is that I'm here for it, and I need the one thing I do need from the community is let's stop overreacting. Let's stop overusing superlatives and speaking hyperbolically. I keep asking, like, do you think this season is too slow? Like, there's been 2 episodes, like they said before this episode. Like, how? And the first episode was not slow. So I don't know what you want from me, but I can't give it to you.
Yeah.
So I'm along for the ride. I think they're doing an excellent job. I like the pacing because my heart can't take too many of these in a row. Also, like you said, Eggy, this episode moved. When it ended, I was shocked because I was certain there was going to be 15 more minutes, and I was like, "Was that the end?" Yeah. I'm just I'll take all of it. I want all of it.
Yeah. The thing about and here the thing that people were like episode 2 was slow, and I was like, oh, that's slow for you? I was like, they ran from an army of spiders, but okay, like it sure, it was what I was watching the Rexing Around episode that they put out today. And they said, instead of calling them filler episodes, they're like, we're going to call them travel episodes. And I was like, yeah, that's a good name for them. Like, it's like, it was episode 2 was a travel episode. Like, it was getting from point A to point B, sure. But like, I don't know. That giant spider came out, and I was like, I was pretty convinced after episode 1. I was like, well, there's the budget. So I guess the next 5 episodes are going to be people talking in dimly lit cafes. Like, there's no way. And then they're like, oh, here's a giant spider and all an army of spiders and this awesome frog lady and this space chase with 2 X-Wings. It's like, and I'm like, people are like, that episode was slow. I'm like, cool. Sure, I guess. But yeah, I have really been here for it. It's episode 1. If I could even call it a critique, I guess, the only thing about episode 1, I guess I would say, is that I am very just kind of critical of like over nostalgia stuff. And episode 1 did teeter a bit for me. I was like, as soon as they were like, go to Tatooine, I was like, why do we always have to go to Tatooine? Why is it always Tatooine? Nothing happens on Tatooine. There is nothing of importance there except for Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi's diary. Like, why do we always have to go to Tatooine? But they managed to make it work really well. But it did, like I said, it did have my favorite nostalgia ever, which was Mando being like, take care of the kid, and then he bumps Boba's jetpack and he goes, and when Cobb goes flying off, I loved that. I thought that was perfect nostalgia. I was like, that's how you do nostalgia. So, but some of the episode teetered a little bit for me into too much, but I was like, okay, but I still loved it. And then, but now it, even though I was pretty nervous about every episode being like, and look who's here. Yeah. Like the Harlem Globetrotters, Batman and Robin, like Bo-Katan really like, I guess even more so than anything, I was thinking about how Bo-Katan literally started as just kind of like a toady, you know, she in Clone Wars, she was just kind of like, you know, bad guy's right hand lady and I'm bad, you know, and now she has become legitimately beloved and developed and interesting and compelling, and just seeing her get the love she deserves was really cool. And she was also plot relevant. You know, she was actually a part of the plot and she drove the plot. She helped give us more Mandalorian lore and helped teach Din about how it's sometimes okay to take your hat off. And she's like, it's cool, man. So I have just been adoring this season, and it's just been an absolute joy. And people who, and again, you don't have to like anything, but like people who are like, I just find that all the criticisms I've seen or read about this season have just been, at least in my opinion, a little bit of a stretch. I'm like, okay, all I'm seeing is that you hate fun. You're like, I'm sorry you hate fun. And I'm sorry you hate when things are good, but I don't know what you want me to do about that. So I've been loving it. Same. Can't wait to see what's next. And yeah, so it's been so and also thank you so much for having me on, guys. This was so fun.
Absolutely. I would love to have you back on in the future as well.
Yes, please. Yeah, you told me about this in my live last week and I was like, yes, right now. I'll do it whenever you want. Yeah, so this is an absolute pleasure. So thanks, guys.
And thank you for coming on as well. I know everyone's busy. In response to what you had just said, you know, some people call it low-hanging fruit. I call it low-effort hatred. So, yeah, you just find something to cling to, and then you just focus your hatred, and that's something that ticks me off. But everyone, including you guys that are watching, y'all need to start being Lego Star Wars. Just have fun. Don't take anything seriously. And that will wrap up this episode of Dyad in the Force. Thank you to Eggy. Thank you to my co-host Choco. Do you have anything to add?
May the Force be with you.